Connie Willis, the podcast. Taking you into new ways of thinking, even providing answers to questions you've often pondered. Connie Willis, the podcast.
Okay. That's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right.
I am.
How about that? Hi, Connie.
Hey there, Jesse. How are you?
Good, good.
Jesse, I'm going to do a little talk, and then I'm going to go right to you, so hang in there and listen, okay?
Okay.
All right, because you may want to react once I introduce you. So thanks a lot, and let's start this thing. You are listening to High Strangeness Radio. Good evening, everybody. How are you tonight? My name is Connie Willis. This is the place to be to keep you up on the latest high strangeness events and stories, and even go back to the ones that started it all. How can we forget, and we should not, the classic Roswell story. That's the UFO crash of 1947 that truly started it all. July 2nd, 1947, Mac Brazil was one of many, actually, that heard a loud crash during the night right near Corona, New Mexico. Now, the next day, Mac finds some strange crash debris right on the Foster Ranch. Mac hears about, this is pretty cool, a $3,000 reward for the debris of a crashed flying saucer. Now, I want to know more about that. So anyway, Mac takes some of the pieces he found to the local sheriff, George Wilcox. Wilcox calls the Roswell Army Airfield and spoke to Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer who came out to examine the debris. From here, I'm going to bring on my next guest. It is an honor to introduce this man. He is a retired full-bird colonel, served as a flight surgeon for 18 months in Iraq. He spent over 38 years serving his country. Super guy, earned his degree in medicine from LSU and went on to become a specialist in ear, nose, and throat medicine. This is Jesse Marcel Jr., the son of Jesse Marcel, the first military man on the scene at the famous Roswell crash. He and his wife, Linda, they live on a ranch in Montana with horses and cattle and some dogs and cats, too. And I've been told, and I love this, I was the only person to have ever been welcome to stay at their ranch with them to hang out and talk about the Roswell event, and I did that for 4 days. It was a blast. Speaking personally now, he is one of the most genuine men I have ever been blessed to meet, and it only takes a few minutes of talking with Jesse to know he is straight up honest, loves his country, is God-fearing, and is truly a gentleman. I say this because honesty is very important when attempting to find out the truth. He is not a fabricator. He, too, would like to know the truth. Usually the only evidence we have is the eyewitness account of our fellow man, and at one point we're going to have to understand that may be our only evidence. Jesse was 11 years old at the time of the Roswell incident and was in the right place at the right time to experience a part of this, or was he? We will ask him right now as we bring you the classic story of Roswell with Jesse Marcel Jr. Hey, Jesse.
Well, I thank you very much for your kind words. I don't know if I deserve all that, but...
Well, what do you think, Jesse? I think you just deserve it, but what do you think? Do you think you were in the right place at the right time to be involved in this story?
Well, it was a game changer, of course, seeing this kind of debris, so it kind of broadened my eyes as to what's really out there, that we're basically not alone. There's others out there who are obviously smarter than we are because they get here from wherever they come from. I'd sure like to know where they come from.
Oh, I am totally with you here. It's funny, this classic story that we've all been hearing since 1947, and a nice little lull in between there where nobody talked about it. But I just found out about this Mac guy where he found the debris but then saw a sign that said, hey, you can get $3,000 for a reward for debris of a crashed flying saucer.
Well, I guess that's what I heard, but of course, I have no personal or first-hand knowledge of that. That's what I've been told, though, that they were offering a reward, or I guess he had our phone.
Oh, sorry, calling. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is what I've heard, but I don't have any first-hand knowledge of that.
I'm just
I know what I saw.
I'm just surprised that anybody would see anything posted like that when nobody even knew what was going on at the point yet, and they're saying, hey, $3,000 for crashed debris site from a flying saucer.
Well, I think, there's other debris, there's weather balloons and things like that were out on the ranch land, too, which, of course, this was not. But I think there was a reward for returning that.
Right.
The radio equipment, the radio songs, and debris from that. But this was totally different.
Well, give me just basically the story that you tell everybody. We know it's a big, giant, famous story. I know your dad and you were involved in this, and start from there.
Well, as you said, my dad was working at the Air Force Base, Roswell Army Airfield, and he was the base intelligence officer for the 509th Bomb Group. And as base intelligence, he was in on a lot of classified information, and I guess this debris, this material, crashed on Roswell's ranch, or he's a foreman of the ranch, and he brought it into the sheriff, and the sheriff called Colonel Blanchard, who was the base commander, who then dispatched my dad and a CIC agent, Sheridan Cabot, out to the ranch to determine what actually happened, whether it was a civilian or a military aircraft or whatever, just find out what it was that was off there. That was so strange. So my dad did go out there, collect some of the debris. He didn't know what it was either. He'd never seen anything like that, and he'd gone to various schools to determine, to learn all about weather balloons and radar balloons and things like that. But this obviously was not that. So what he did, he collected some representative debris, put it in the back of our 1942 Buick car, and I guess Sheridan Cabot did the same thing in an Army carryall. As it turns out, our house was on the way to the base, from the ranch. So my dad realized that this was something very strange, that we'll never see this again. He wanted myself and my mother to see this. So he swung a little bit out of his way to stop at the house, and he'd brought the material into the house, put it on the kitchen floor, and got myself and my mother up. And he said, I want you to come in here and see what we recovered from that ranch out there out of Roswell. And I said words like, I think this is parts of a flying saucer. He was very excited about that, and I just looked at this stuff. It looked like just a bunch of metal debris or junk to me, but his excitement caught on, and he said, look at this. This is parts of a flying saucer. You'll never see this again. And that's where it got started.
And he said that right there. He said this is, or this.
Yeah, he thought this was parts of a flying saucer.
Thank you for saying that. I couldn't spit it out there. Thank you very much, Jesse. I needed your help there. So he actually, at that point, knew, just from the visual, that it had to have been a flying saucer.
Well, this was something that was certainly not common. Obviously, they had radar balloons and weather balloons, things like that, but that's not what this was. Even though that's what the official story is, it definitely was not that. So if it had been something like that, he would not have brought it home and waken us up to see it.
Right, and where I was talking about credibility, how important that is, and why I mentioned all the things that you have done in your life is because, well, your dad was in the 509 group. Can you explain to our listeners what that is?
Well, the 509th was a very important air task force. They're the ones who actually dropped the nuclear weapons on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And my dad was the intelligence officer for those. And so he was in on the atomic bombing of Japan, which brought the war to an end, but unfortunately at great cost.
It also means, too, that they were the elite of the elite, and
they're all hand-picked people, and were well-schooled in intelligence and things like that. So he was above and beyond the usual Air Force officer at that time.
So he's going to know the difference between a balloon or something not of this world.
Yeah, for Pete's sake, it's not the same thing, certainly not that at all. Because he had gone to radar school, and he knew what radar targets looked like, like Rowan targets that were on weather balloons, and later the Air Force changed the story to a mogul balloon, which was a top-secret device, which was designed to go up in the stratosphere, bring microphones up to listen for possible sonic vibrations from nuclear detonations in the Soviet Union at that time. So the project was very top secret, but the material itself was just off the wall. I mean, just off the shelf material.
Can you describe the material that you saw and you touched?
Well, there was a lot of foil, which was kind of strange. It was very light, and apparently it had a quality of being able to fold. If you folded it up or wrinkled it up, it would unfold. Now, I did not see that, but my dad described it to me. I guess the strangest thing that I noticed was the beams with a strange writing or symbols along the inside edge of these. And these were like geometric symbols. I thought at first this was Egyptian hieroglyphics, but certainly nothing like that. but just geometric forms of different shapes. And the color was kind of strange. It was a kind of a purple-violet hue, metallic, kind of semi-reflective of light. And there's 18 or 20 of these figures written along the inside surface of this being, which is about 12 to 18 inches long. And then there's some black plastic debris, which defies description also, like the foil.
Well, a lot of people said, oh, this was, what they say, balsamic wood and tape, and that's what they're trying to say that you saw, correct?
Yeah. That's what they say, but I know what I saw. They said it was balsa wood. Well, no, it's not balsa wood. These are metal beams. For Pete's sakes, I built balsa wood airplanes all the time, so I knew what that looked like. But that was not what this was.
Now, people, they may have said, well, Jesse was only 11 years old at that time. What does he know?
Well, I'll tell you what, at 11 years old, your mind is like a sponge. It soaks up everything, and when you see something like this, you don't forget it.
And I don't think your dad would be bringing home balsa wood, would he, and wake you up in the middle of the night?
I think not. I think not.
Here, son, wake up. I must show you this. Well, I guess the kind of sad thing now is that, so your dad, who knows what he's talking about, is now having to take a famous picture that we all have seen on the front of the famous newspaper where he's, you go ahead and tell me.
Well, I didn't see that picture until many, many years later. Taken by Bon Johnson from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram newspaper. But in it, he's in General Ramey's office now in Fort Worth. General Ramey was the 8th Air Force commander, and Colonel Blanchard wanted him to see what this debris was too. So my dad flew the material under armed guard in a B-29 to Fort Worth so that General Ramey could see the real debris from the ranch land. The picture, however, showed my dad holding up a very common radar target, a raw one radar target, very obvious what it was. As a matter of fact, there was a balloon envelope in the background, which kind of reinforced the story that this was just a weather balloon with a radar target. And the look on his face as he's holding up this obviously very common material, that you got to be kidding me, this is not what I brought here. But they had switched it, because he later said they switched the material to something just to begin the cover story of this is just a weather balloon with the radar target. So
you mean he actually went in there not knowing that they were going to put up this front with a picture?
Well, I don't know the ins and outs of that, but that's what I gather, that he was told to go in there and show the photographer this raw one radar target and say this is what I brought in from the desert, which was, of course, not the truth.
So they had announced at one point really quickly that, hey, there's a flying saucer that has crashed, and then within, I guess, 24 hours, they came back out saying, no, it was a weather balloon, and using your dad as the face.
As the fall guy, yeah. So, I don't know if it really affected him very much, but he was following orders. He was, when a two-star general tells you to change your story to put this behind you, that this is just a weather balloon, you didn't see anything else, did you? No, sir, I did not see anything else. But the other thing, too, when my dad finally got back to Roswell, he sat my mother and myself down and told us that we were never to talk about this event again, that treated like a non-event, that it didn't happen. And that's why we treated it for many, many years.
It was a different time back then, wasn't it?
Well, we just finished World War II, and the Cold War was beginning to ramp up with the Soviet Union. So, yeah.
Well, how did the story all come back out again?
Well, it wasn't until 1978, I guess, that Stanton Friedman got wind of the fact that my dad had seen something very strange out in the desert. And so he interviewed my dad. He was the first one to really interview him. And Stanton really is the one who first got the story out.
And how was your dad later? I mean, for him to actually start talking about it again, why did he start talking about this again when he was clearly told not to?
Well, I guess this is years later, that he thought, well, maybe it's time to start talking about this, let people know what's really going on in our skies here. I don't think he felt he was breaking security at that point.
Excellent, because it sounds like he did everything he could to do what they said before. Yeah,
for Pete's sake, we didn't even talk about it in our family for many, many years.
Yeah, how could you do that? I mean, did you have little nightmares? Did you think about it?
Well, no, we just, I was told, by my dad, don't talk about this, and my mother the same, so we didn't talk about that.
Did you ever hear? Okay? When your dad did start talking about it, did you and your dad have pretty good conversations at one point?
Well, I was away from home at that time, and as a matter of fact, I was practicing medicine here in Helena, and but I'd call him once a week or so, and we'd sometimes, gloss over the story that we really know what happened out there. As a matter of fact, one of the really interesting anecdotes here is one of the last times I called my dad. He had just gotten back from going out to Roswell at the behest of one of the television stations in New Orleans, and they brought him out to the debris field. And I asked him on the phone, and I said, "Well, look, was there any of this debris still out there?" And he said, "Oh, no, they vacuumed that up. They were not about to leave one scrap of that out there."
Did you ever see anything later? I hear so many stories of people. When you go to the Roswell event every year that they have the festival, which is a blast to go to, and that's where I met you first. But when I'm out there, I usually hear these little stories. Oh, somebody's got some down in the basement here, and there's debris, and somebody else has debris. Do you know of anybody else having debris?
No, the only person I knew that may have had some, or did have some, was Bill Brazel, Mac Brazel's son. Because the day after this happened, he was out there on his horse, and he found some of the metal debris before it was all vacuumed up, and he just stuck it in his saddlebags and kind of put it away there. But sometime later, and I'm not sure how much later this was, he was drinking in a bar in Corona, New Mexico, and the conversation went around to what did they see out there, and did he have any of it left? And Bill Brazel kind of talked among his friends that, yeah, I got a piece of it in my saddlebags, and he said a short time later, people knocked on his door and said, "We understand you have some Air Force property, and we need to get that." So he surrendered it without any question.
Wow.
Now this might have been years later, as far as I know, but I'm not sure what the timing is. But the word got out that he had a piece of it. So the Air Force, not in military uniform, but he said they were well-dressed civilians, knocked on the door and said they were going to recover that metal from it.
Do you think, is that like the infamous Men in Black?
It could be, but it's strange. He was just talking among friends there in the bar.
Wow.
And, so walls have ears, I guess.
I tell you, I have heard stories where people come back and they I don't know, I don't even want to go there right now, but they seem to know, you're right, the walls have ears. Let's just go there.
Yeah.
Well, you don't think your dad, tell me a little bit more about your dad. Was he upset later in life about what they did? Did he feel like he did something maybe bad for the world at that point and by being the fall guy?
He kept it close to his chest, and so I don't know what he really thought about this. I do know that he finally got disgusted with the military, and he got out in 1951 or so, 50 or 51, and went back home to Louisiana. So I don't know what happened, what he thought about it.
And I'm only asking because, you always hear these other stories from someone else, but I'd rather get the story straight from you with your answer. And I think I had heard people say, well, it drove him to drink because he never got to tell the story.
No.
Good. We can take that away, too. Speaking of the debris, you had said that they basically vacuumed up the debris.
Yeah, that's what my dad's words were. They vacuumed it up.
When you say that, it almost makes me believe that maybe this happened before and they knew what they needed to do.
Well, it could be, the word's out that if anything strange crashes, go pick it up. Don't let any civilians get a hold of it.
Wow. You think you kind of learn that the hard way and then you do it the next time. So that's what's kind of a little freaky. What do you think, since 11 years old, you've had to deal with this, what are your thoughts about it, and what do you know, and what have you learned since about possible ET life?
Well, like I said, this was a game changer for me. I realized this is clearly not anything that we made, our civilization made, but this came from outer space from someplace, and so what it did is make me very interested in astronomy and cosmology, because I realized that, hey, there's other guys out there. And people ask me, well, did it affect your religious belief? And no, it actually strengthened my belief in a God and the creator of the universe. So he created a lot more than just us.
You know, it's funny, I feel the same way when I hear people say, well, they don't want to tell us because it would create panic and no one would know what to believe anymore. I'm thinking, my goodness, it makes me believe in God even more so.
Well, you know, even the Vatican came out not too long ago with a statement saying that believing in extraterrestrial life should not interfere with your belief in God.
And what do you think of Stephen Hawking?
Well, Stephen, hey, I guess he's a little scary there. 'Cause we should kind of keep ourselves hidden here, but I don't think it's too late for that now. They know we're here.
It sounded like a bit of more information about disclosure and preparing us, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that the dam is breaking, that there's some leaks there, that more and more information is going to come out until finally all of a sudden it'll be clearly obvious to everybody who reads what this is. You know, that we're not alone. We're being visited by these people. And I say people because they may very well look a lot like us. And as far as I know, they don't mean us any harm because we obviously don't have anything that they want, or else we wouldn't be here.
Or that's coming one. So, you know, speaking of that, these people or whatever these things may be, apparently how many, wasn't there like two, they thought there were actually two ETs that were crashed inside this UFO that were found?
Well, you know, I just know what I read, and I've read that there was there's one survivor, maybe some dead aliens out there, but again, I just know what I read because I didn't see anything like that.
And your dad never told you anything about that?
No, you know, I asked him, you know, did you ever see, or at least Linda, my wife, asked him, did you ever see the bodies? He said no, but he knew people who did see the bodies.
Oh, did he say anything about that?
Well, he just said that she just answering her question like, no, I didn't see them, but I know of other people who did see them.
Well, along the way, you're like a little star in this field, and you're a little movie star, Jesse. And I know a lot of people love to come to you and ask you questions, but I would think that a lot of people want to come to you and tell you some things as well. Did anybody ever come to you as an eyewitness of seeing these little creatures and talking to you about them?
Well, not these particularly, but I know people will call me and want to talk about the Roswell and maybe discuss what they've seen themselves. Usually what they've seen are lights in the sky, and who knows what that is. As a matter of fact, when I was in Iraq, we were flying back from Kirkuk into Balad, where I was stationed, which is about 40 north of Baghdad. This is about 1 o'clock in the morning, and we were flying with a pair of helicopters, because you always flew with two, because in case one got shot down, the other got to be there to rescue you. And you didn't fly with the lights on. They were all infrared lights. And I saw this light skimming along just above the surface of the desert, going toward Turkey from south to north. And this thing was really going out. I thought, what the heck is that? That's a civilian airplane? No. There was no fly zone, so there were no civilian airplanes. So no one would be foolish enough to fly with the light on, because you get shot down if you did that. So I don't know what that was, but just a light. Who knows what that was.
They're probably checking back in on you to say, hey, how you doing, Jesse?
But it was a light work, should not have been.
Well, along the way, have you ever? And I'm gonna kind of pick with you a little bit here. Have you ever gone underground and had any conversations?
Well, the government one time did want to find out what I knew about this. And they kind of admitted that, yeah, this is real, that it did happen, that they want to know what I knew about this, just to, get somebody else's perspective on this.
Can you tell any more about that?
Well, it's kind of a strange meeting. It was in the Capitol building. I don't know if you've been in the Capitol building, but there's many, many stories below the surface, and there are private meeting rooms down there, and I was asked, did you want to talk in a secure room about this? I said, no, it doesn't make any difference. But the gentleman said, well, I might tell you something, so we'll talk in a secure room. And he just questioned me about what I thought, what I knew about this, but he did kind of intimate that this really was a real event, that it was not anybody's imagination.
So he was asking you, hey, what else do you know? And you're going,
I don't know if I knew anything different, but I've told people everything I know about this, which is just my experience.
And I just thought it was interesting because I think I remember you saying you went into some sort of elevator and kept going down.
Yeah, I thought, well, maybe I'm never going to see the light of day again. But no, he was a very friendly guy, and apparently he just was interviewing people who had first-hand knowledge of this, and that's where it is.
So it's funny, here's this guy wants to see if you want to say anything in private where you're going, please tell me anything you know, because you want to know the answers too, don't you?
Really. But that just confirmed my suspicion that this was a flying saucer or extraterrestrial craft, just confirmed it.
Right. Any idea where you think the debris may be?
Well, I knew that they flew part of it right to Fort Worth, the Fort Worth Army Airfield there, and then I just read that it might have been transported to Wright-Patterson, where it maybe still is.
I know also along the way, as I've learned so much more, and of course this is what sparked it all, that it's you saw the material yourself, so you know firsthand. And then you hear all these people say, oh, it's not true, and we're talking the government and all these high official people. So what do you say to that? What do you think is going on, and who do you think knows the truth?
Well, obviously somebody does, and it may be like a Men in Black type scenario, but it's real, and it doesn't bother me if people don't want to believe it. That's their business, but I know what it was, and it's just, it's there. But I'd just be glad when they do release the information that that we're being visited, and I'd like to tell people, I told you so.
Well, I hope you do it here on High Strangeness first. Jesse, I love you very much. I want you to say hello to your wife and your daughter. The show is not... Okay, if you could do that for me. The show is not over yet. This is your time to call in and ask Jesse some questions concerning the Roswell crash of 1947. We're going to be right back to take your questions for Jesse. Call us at 1-800-STRANGENESS. That's 1-800-STRANGENESS. You can also post them at highstrangeness.com, and we will try our best to get to them before Jesse has to take off. A reminder that tomorrow night we have an extraordinary health and medicine update coming for you. We're going to be talking about a medicine that supposedly opens your third eye, and you don't have to go to Peru to drink it or be blessed by a shaman beforehand. In fact, you can buy it at your local drugstore. You are listening to High Strangeness with myself, Connie Willis, and our guest tonight, Jesse Marcel Jr. We'll be right back. Hey, Jess, that was so cool.
Well, that's good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wanted it to be short and sweet. I know.
Connie Willis, the podcast. Join Connie's other shows at ConnieWillis.com.